right, we got Johnny Rio, Mike McColgan from the Street Dogs.
What's going on?
We are live with Heads Talking, HeadCount's Facebook Artist Series. We're in Brooklyn, New York. What's up, dudes? How you guys doing?
Good, man.
Doing all right.
All right. You want to introduce yourselves to the internet world? We're tracking followers as we speak.
I'm Johnny Rio. I play bass in Street Dogs.
I'm Mike McColgan. I'm the lead singer of the Street Dogs.
As you know, HeadCount registers voters at concerts all across the country. We're a nonpartisan nonprofit, and we're engaging with different types of bands to start the conversation and see what's going on. So I want to start out first by, the general question here is, what do you wish more people were talking about? Whether you're fans, the general America, the news, what do you wish more people are talking about?
Personally speaking, just basing everything by what you see on social media and everything, I wish people would do less talking and more listening. Honestly, I like saying that kind of half joking, but it seems like everyone has an agenda. Everyone's pushing an angle. People should be listening to each other because it feels like we're on the brink of some kind of weird civil war, even with like people we love, our parents, or our brothers, or whatever. Like there's a lot of fighting going on. There's a lot of hostility and negativity, and I think it's probably with good reason that there's a lot of hostility and negativity. But I feel like we have to find some kind of middle ground, some kind of peace and love.
What's the type of change that you guys would like to see, like on a local level? Is there anything in your community that's either upsetting you personally, or within your community or school district, that highlights directly where you live?
I live in Texas currently, and I had somebody who's active in politics and local politics say, when everybody's obviously been getting very worked up about national elections and national politics, and the guy said to me, he brought up a really interesting point. He's like, you actually are going to get more accomplished getting involved in your local elections.
Absolutely.
And what's going on locally politically than you are by worrying about what's happening nationally. So that got me thinking about what you can do, especially in a place in like Texas, where there's going to be a lot. Myself personally, most of the national politicians that I would have a tendency to follow or vote for skip over my state completely. So it's in a place like that, you're better off almost working on the smaller, local scale. But in Texas, obviously, immigration is a huge issue right now, and there's a lot of scared people. My daughter, who looks just like I do, goes to a school that's largely Hispanic, and a lot of her friends and kids that she goes to school with and their families are scared right now. They don't know what's going to happen, and it's terrible to see kids going through this now. Like it's almost like through this whole last year and a half of politics, you're seeing children come up with the things that make most sense. In America, they're seeing politicians behave in a certain way, and they know, like, you shouldn't behave this way. This is not how we've been raised to behave. Why are these adults being rewarded essentially for this shitty behavior? And that's a trip, man. When you start listening to kids who you don't ever engage with on a political or social level start to make the most sense,
What comes first? Are you writing lyrics and then presenting it to the band, or is the band presenting chords and you guys are coming up collaboratively?
Yeah, I need to write more lyrics. And it's funny, like sometimes I go in fits and starts. Like sometimes it's nonstop. I'm coming up with things left and right. But lately it's kind of been sporadic for me. Like I get something and then I get jammed up and I hit a block. But usually what happens is once I get an idea, 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 ideas will roll off of that. And like Johnny said, we've written songs lyrically based, riff based, and then Ted Hutt. When we started working with Ted Hutt on Fade American Dream, and then worked with him on State of Grace, Ted Hutt taught us something that's really important for bands to know, that if you have a body of songs and Ted Hutt could hear in one song a good part and then in another song hear another good part and be like, what if we took this, and there are other big name producers and other bands that do it too. What if we use the studio to make a good song? You know, and with General's Boombox, for example, on State of Grace, we banged that song from Back to the World all the way up to State of Grace, and Ted kind of used different parts and ideas and said, "This is it."
This is it.
You know,
Have a great
that's
show,
why
guys.
so
You guys freaking roll.
Smell you later.
Like Joe Stummer said, without people, you're nothing. Thank you for giving us this.
All right.
All right.
You guys rule. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.